Hello everyone, welcome to BVLSI Design Lecture number 25D. Today we are going to see and study and analyze a compact XNOR gate implementation. So let us begin. So in this case, MP1 and MN1 forms a CMOS inverter whose input is given as logic, A, and the output is A bar obviously. Now this output goes to the top of MP2. Now MP2 and Mn2 also forms an inverter, but we will see further that it forms a conditional inverter. So it becomes an inverter based on certain input conditions. So we'll see that shortly. So your A bar, the output of the first inverter, A bar, is going to the top of your MP2, which is the source terminal. And A, input A, is going to the bottom of Mn2, which is again the source terminal of the NMOS transistor. Now the second inverter, the second conditional inverter input is B, and the output is your XNOR operation. Now we all know the XNOR operation, that whenever the two inputs are same, the output is 1, otherwise the output is logic 0. And the total transistor count to implement this compact XNOR gate is 4. Here we assume the VDD to be 5 volts. Now let us look into the operation of this network very in a closer details. So for case number 1, we have A as logic 0. So whenever A is logic 0, the first CMOS inverter, MN1 will be off and MP1 will be on. So whenever MP1 is on, it will pull the output of the first inverter towards VDD. Hence your A bar, which is the output of the first inverter, becomes 5 volts. 5 volts mean 5 volts mean logic 1. And similarly, the bottom A, the bottom of the second transistor, NMOS transistor MN2, becomes 0 volt. Now since we have 5 volts at the top and 0 volts at the bottom, the MP2 and MN2 combination becomes again acts as a CMOS inverter with the input as B, which is logic 0. So since input is B logic 0, your MN2 will be off and MP2 will be on, which will pull the output node towards 5 volts. Hence we get a strong logic 1 at the output for A and B as 0, 0. So in this case, MP1 and MP2 are on. Let us check this condition. Yeah, so for VA, VB 0, 0, MP1 and MP2 are on, and we get a strong logic 1, that is 5 volts at the output. Okay, so the first condition is satisfied. Let us go to the next part. So for case number 2, we have A and B as 5 and 5 volt, that is logic 1. So when A is at 5 volt or logic 1, MN1 transistor will be on, whereas MP1 will be off, and MN1 will pull the output voltage towards ground. Hence your A bar will be 0, and your A is going to the bottom of MN2. So what will happen in this case is, since 0 volt is at the top of MP2 and 5 volts is at the bottom of MN2, this MP1 and MN2, sorry, this MP2 and MN2 together will not form a CMOS inverter. Rather, it will act as a pass transistor. Let us see that. So now we have applied 5 volts at B. So that will instantly turn off PMOS transistor MP2, and it will turn on the NMOS transistor MN2. So you see MN2 forms a NMOS pass transistor logic, wherein the gate terminal is 5 volt. That means MN2 is on, and we are passing 5 volts to it. And we know that for the NMOS pass transistor, it passes a weak logic 1. So at the output, you will get VDD minus VTN voltage. Let us see that in detail. So for an NMOS pass transistor, whenever we pass logic 1, it gives us weak logic 1. A weak logic 1 means it will give us Vmax of VDD minus VTN. And whenever we try to pass a logic 0 through it, with a gate being connected to VDD, your output will be 0. That is a strong logic 0 will get. Similarly, for PMOS pass transistor, whenever we apply logic 1, we get a strong logic 1 at the output considering the gate is grounded. And here, if we try to pass logic 0, we'll get a weak logic 1. That is, we'll get at the output mod of VTP. So in this case number 2, when both A and B are logic 1, the output is also logic 1, but a weak logic 1. In this case, MN1 and MN2 are on. Let us check this condition. So when both are 5 and 5 volt, MN1 and MN2 are on, and we get a weak logic 1, that is Vmax, that is VDD minus VTN. Now, let us go to the next case. So the third case is this. We have A as logic 1, that is 5 volt, and B as 0. So whenever A is 1, your output of the first inverter will be logic 0 because MN1 will be on and will pull the output voltage towards ground, whereas MP1 is off, which will disconnect the VDD from the output. So here we have 0 volt at the top and 5 volt at the bottom. And we apply 0, logic 0 at the B terminal, which will turn off your MN2 instantly, but it will turn on MP2 PMOS transistor. So we have a situation over here that your logic 0 is applied to the gate, and we are trying to pass 0 volt from a PMOS pass transistor logic. Obviously, it will give a weak logic 0, which is equivalent to mod of VTP. Okay, it will give us a weak logic 0. In this case, MN1 and MP2 are on. MN1 and MP2 are on. So here it is, VA is 5 volt, VB is 0 volt, MN1 and MP2 are on, and we get a weak logic 0. That is V minimum, which will be mod of VTP. Now let us check the last condition, the fourth condition. Yeah, in this case, A is logic 0 and B is logic 1, that is 5 volt. So whenever we apply A as 0, your MN1 transistor will be off, and whereas MP1 transistor will be on, it will pull up the output voltage towards VDD. Hence, here we have, at the top of MP2, we have 5 volts, and at the bottom of MN2, we have 0 volts. So your combination of MP2 and MN2 will form a CMOS inverter. Now we have given 5 volts at the input of the CMOS inverter, that is B is equal to 5 volts, which will make the MP2 transistor off and MN2 transistor on, which will pull the output voltage towards ground strongly. So we have a strong logic 0 for the case A is equal to 0 and B is equal to logic 1. Here in this case, MP1 and MN2 transistors are on. Let us check that. So over here, which is the second case, A is 0 and B is logic 1, that is 5 volt. Over here, MP1 and MN2 transistors are on, and we get a strong logic 0 at the output. Okay, so in this case, we get a strong logic 0 at the output, which is case number 4, which we saw over here. Okay, now what we will do is, next we'll try to implement this circuit in LT-Spice. We'll try to implement this circuit in LT-Spice. So let me reduce the width of this so that it fits the screen, and the LT-Spice window also will fit together. Okay, let me open it. So we have opened the LT-Spice window, and already the circuit is made available for your reference. So this is a compact XNOR gate. As you can see very clearly, we have applied A over here. This is the first CMOS inverter, and the output of the first CMOS inverter is connected to the top. So basically, this is your A bar. Okay, this is your A bar, and the bottom one is your A. This is A. Okay, now it is proper, and we have applied B, and output is over marked over here. Remember that for PMOS transistor, body terminal should be connected to VDD. For NMOS transistor, the body terminal should be connected to the ground. So this care you have to take over here. Okay. Now let me analyze it a little further. So over here we have given A and B as the pulses. So these are the requirements: 0 to 5, delay time of 5 millisecond, rise time and fall time is 10 picosecond. on time is 5, and the period is 10 milliseconds with the cycles of 10. Similarly, B is also a pulse with these timings 0 and 5. 1.2 milliseconds is the delay. Rise time and fall time is 10 picoseconds. On time is 5 milliseconds. Period is 8 milliseconds, and the number of cycles are 10. And over here we have given the dot model parameters W by L, and the VTO value, I should give it same. So let me make it as around 0.6 over here, so that both NMOS and PMOS become symmetric. Okay, so these are the parameters of both the NMOS and the PMOS transistor used in this design. Now let me simulate this. I'll go to simulate, click on run. Dot run we have to run and give a time of 25 milliseconds. So I'll maximize the screen, divide this into 3 planes so that I can plot A, B, and output. So first I will plot A, next will be B, and the next will be the output itself, V out. Okay, now let me adjust this, and now we will go and check the output. Okay, so we have the table over here with us. This is the table. So for the first case, we have 0 and 0. Let me just take the cursor and keep it ready. So for the first case, we have 0 and 0. So for 0 and 0, the output is a strong logic 1. For 0 and 0, the output is a strong logic 1. Let me keep this intact. Yeah, like this. So 0 1 0 0 1 0 and 1 1. Okay. So for your 0 and 0, we get a strong logic 1, as you can see, 5 volts. Next case is 0 and 1, and we get a strong logic 0. So this is 0 and 1, we get a strong logic 0. This is 11.37 nanovolt. That's a 0 volt. Next case is 1 and 0. Sorry, 1 and 1. Both A and B are 1 and 1. So for 1 and 1, we get a weak logic 1 over here, which is VDD minus VTN. And your VTN value is 0.6. So your VDD minus VTN value should be theoretically 4.4, but we are getting around 4.395. That's okay. That's absolutely fine. Now, next case is 1 and 0. So 1 and 0 is this third case. A is 5 volt and B is 0 volt. So in this case, we are getting the output as 600 millivolts. That is same as V minimum, which is the mod of VTP. And we have given the threshold voltage as 0.6, minus 0.6 for the PMOS transistor and plus 0.6 for NMOS transistor. So obviously, whenever we get a weak 0, it is with respect to mod of VTP in this case. Okay, and in this case, it's exactly equal to 600 millivolts. So that's absolutely correct. So next case we have again as 1 and 1. So for 1 and 1, we have a weak logic 1, that is around, it should be VDD minus 0.6, which is 4.4. We are getting around 4.394. That's absolutely fine. Now let us go to the next condition. Next condition, we have 0 and 1, which should give a strong 0. And it is giving a strong 0. This is minus 2.7 nanovolt, which is as good as 0. Let us check one more condition. So here we have 0 and 0. Okay, and we get a strong logic 1. In this way, we can check the entire functionality, and all the conditions of this truth table will be verified. All the conditions are absolutely correct. But the only limitation of this network over here is we get a, we do not get a full voltage swing. So to get a full voltage swing, what we do is we connect an inverter at the output of this compact XNOR design. When we connect the inverter at the output of this, what will happen is the functionality might change. Instead of a XNOR, it will become XOR gate. So let me show you all that. Let me take one more plot and let me push it upwards. Okay, so limitation over here is we get a conditionally weak 1 and weak 0, which will limit the voltage swing. So we add the inverter and we call it V out bar. So if you see in the, let me change the color of the V out bar to, let's say, dark. So if you see V out bar, it will give you full swing output, 5 volt and 0 volt. As you can see, it's nanovolts, 5 volt and 0. But the functionality has changed. Instead of this circuit giving us a compact XNOR design, if you add an inverter, it will give a XOR design, compact XOR design. With the addition of two extra transistors, in the form of a CMOS inverter. So this eliminates the problem of your, a previous thing that is giving the full voltage swing, but additionally it requires two more transistors to make a compact XOR gate design. Okay, so in this way, we have seen the design for a compact XNOR gate and its limitation and how to overcome it. And I guess we have completed today's topic of compact XNOR gate realization using technique number 1. So I think that's it for today. Next time we'll start with technique number 2 and we'll see the realization of a compact XOR gate again with another technique. Until then, have a good day and thank you.